this video series, I'm going to be talking about 4 feminine archetypes that are really juicy and powerful for activating in your feminine leadership in different moments. In this first video, we're going to be exploring the badass. So, how can you channel your inner badass for more powerful and straight to the point, straight shooting effects in your leadership? Okay, so the qualities of the badass is she doesn't think before she speaks. She just says what she thinks. And there's this liberation in that. It's like, yeah, I know where I'm going. If you don't like it, you can just leave it. She might swear the odd time. She's just taking risks. She just fucking goes for it, right? So really just take a moment to connect with your inner badass, She might be like a punk rocker or something, or like, what would she wear? Would you wear like a leather jacket? Would you be riding a Harley Davidson? What would your badass, how would she look? How would she express herself? And just imagine now you are on social media, right? You're on Instagram or whatever, and you're showing up in this badass energy. You know your worth. You know you're the shit. And so channeling our inner badass can be super powerful in launches. It can be super powerful in general, especially as women, because we've been taught to shrink. We've been taught to be the good girl. We've been taught to people please. And so I'm not suggesting that you're constantly like, hey, just like, fuck you, like, I don't listen to you all of the time. But it's definitely an incredible archetype to channel in your business, because for most of us as women, we're not coming from the background of being confident. We're coming from a background of actually working through barriers to being seen, barriers to having our voices shared, barriers to expressing in our fullest, right, and showing all of our faces. And that's what the badass gives us permission to do. So I have a little practice for you, is like in journaling, is to go away and to journal on some areas of your life, right? Your life being one in general, your love, relationships, and then your leadership, your business. And go into a question in each one of those areas, your life, your love, and your leadership. What's unclear, right? Or there's some stickiness, or you're needing an answer and decision about something. And go into the question, really channeling, what would your inner badass say or do? How would she show up? And what would it feel like to give yourself permission to show up like that with regards to these key issues in your life, your love, and your leadership? And then I would like you to go and express that. Go and express that in a way that feels authentic for you, channeling your inner badass that doesn't think too much. She just goes straight from that, shoots from the hip, as they say. And then I'd love to know how it went. So you can send me an email. You can get my email from my channel. Just click the link and let me know how your inner badass shows up in your life, your love, and your leadership. The second archetype in this series that we're going to explore, the feminine archetype for powerful leadership, is the seductress. So the seductress, she lures in she lures in the lover, she lures in the opportunity, the sales, the clients, not from a place of manipulation, it's from devotion, but just in ultimate ecstasy to her own pleasure, right? She, in her fullness, in her juiciness, she gives others permission to say yes to themselves, permission to fully feel their own sensual nature. So you can think about the seductress as being governed by Venus, right? She is loving all of the sensual delights, and she might wear velvet or silk, or wearing this different smells, perfumes. So when you're channeling your inner seductress, I suggest that you take one of the other pleasure practices that I have in Rise Wild. If you're not a member of Rise Wild yet, why not? You need to join it. You can get 14 days free by clicking the link in my channel. And so we start with this energy of pleasure, of deliciousness. And then we can even dress up in something that makes you feel super hot, right? Like a silky dress and wearing your favorite perfume, putting the makeup on you might want, if that's aligned with you or not. But really feeling in yourself sensual and sexual, right? What would it be like to show up to your sales calls, to your lives, to whatever, actually feeling like hot as fuck? That's what the seductress is. And this can be, depending on your orientation as a woman, it will feel different, obviously. Like, you know, if you're more of a wild woman, you connect with your sensuality, it's not going to be so challenging. But for those of you who have been in culturally maybe grown up somewhere where there was like an oppression of your sexuality, or you're coming out of experiences where you had to be closed, or you've been seen, there's this sexual shame piece where it's like, oh, I can't do that, that's bad. This might be an edge for you, but this can translate into everything, right? It can translate into the way that you speak on your stories, the way that you eat your food. And I mean, why not embody the seductress? Because life going to be lifing anyway. You may as well do it in your pleasure rather than in contraction and in fear, or in just even normal baselineness. So yes, you can channel your seductress. Let me know how that goes for you in your life, your love, and your leadership. So archetype number 3 is the Queen. The Queen is one of my favorites. I love the Queen. She embodies like a really integrated, all-round feminine energy of, you know, she's kind of been around the block. She's done the wild woman thing. She's done the mother thing. And now she's just like regal in her queendom, sat on her throne. And the Queen is kind of like, I would say you're 12 o'clock, right? In your feminine leadership and your business and your life in general. She's like the North Star, because this is where how you want to be showing up in general, your general place. Like, we can channel the wild woman, we can channel the seductress, we can channel the badass, but we come back to the queenly throne, because this is where our true regal presence as women lies. Now, one of the main pieces about the Queen is that she doesn't chase anything. She's sat in her throne and she's resting into the back of her body, adorned in the beautiful jewels that she wears, her crown. And people come to her, right? She has this open, welcoming energy. She knows her worth. She knows that she has sovereignty over her queendom and that she gets to choose. But she's not like chin up. She's a integrated, approachable queen, right? So she welcomes people and she welcomes gifts. She welcomes opportunities, and then she also allows them to go or banishes them if it's appropriate. So start to think about what would it be like for you to really channel that queen energy. And for me, this is specifically great on sales calls where you're having to talk about yourself, right? And talk about the work that you're doing. It's not necessarily personal, it's devotional, but it's always it can be a sticky point. You can feel nervous, you can feel all of these things when you're doing a closing call, or you're asking someone to invest money in the services or the products that you have. Now, something that I always practice, and I invite you to, and I work with clients too as well, is to, am I in my throne? Because this energy of being pulled forwards and overextending in a relationship, in business, in life in general, we don't want any of that, because that's pulling on our life force. It's draining us. We want to feel rested. So it's like, this is how much it is to work with me. Rest into the back of your body. This is what I desire in a relationship. Rest into the back of your body. Not try, chase, right? So yeah, I would love to know how the practice of sitting in your queenly throne works for you in your life, your love, and your leadership. Send me an email and let me know. The final feminine archetype that we're going to explore in your life, your love, and your leadership is the witch. The witch is a lot of the dark feminine energies, right? So we were literally burnt at the stake like little over 200 years ago for being magical, for being different, for having a deep connection to the supernatural, to the world beyond, to the animals, to the earth, to the herbs, to our wombs, to everything, right? So the witch gives permission for other women to fully express their magic, to go all in on their magic, right? And she isn't afraid to be outcast. She kind of has like the Lilith energy to her as well, because Lilith obviously was rejected from the Garden of Eden and was written in the Bible as being this debaucherous, bad woman. And so the witch energy is that. So this is great when you want to give women permission, specifically if you work with women, giving women permission to be their full magical self, like their weirdest, their wackiest, their most seeming polarities, right? I'm this and then I'm that, and then I like this, I like to do this sometimes, but I like to do that. So that's what the witch entails. And it also, when we embody the witch, we also give women the permission and understanding that we have the capacity to hold all faces of them, that they can just soften and unravel, and they can be their fullest expression, whatever that might be. Because in you being your fullest expression, and you owning your gifts, and you embodying that inner witchiness, then we also allow others to do that. And the witch is also very deeply connected with the priestess as well. So it's a woman who has these supernatural powers and is working in relationship with the earth and spirit and all of that good stuff. So if you're working in a spiritual coaching, for example, or you're a guide, this is a great archetype for you to channel when you're speaking to women, because this allows you to take up space in all of your magical capacity. So I would love to know how the witch is helpful for you as an archetype in your life, your love, and your leadership.